viewers at home, and welcome to another episode of Headliners. My name is Shel Maduka, and I'm your hostess for the show. On today's episode of the show, we are going to be discussing the ongoing crisis in Nigeria today, which is a hot topic, the removal of fuel subsidy. With me on the show today is Dr. Aziz Adeduton, a renowned vascular surgeon at Victory Vascular and General Surgery here in Athens, Georgia. And he's also a 2011 Labour Party candidate for governorship in Oyo State of Nigeria. With us also on the show is Mr. Femi Job, a research scientist at Emory University here in Atlanta, Georgia. Thank you for joining us today, sir. So, of course, we all know what's going on in Nigeria, and we're just going to pick up from there. The current crisis going on right now is the removal of the fuel subsidy. What do you think of the removal of the subsidy? And we can start with Dr. Aziz.
Okay, thank you so much. First, I want to thank the presenter. My name is Dr. Aziz Adeduton. I'm a vascular surgeon and also was a 2011 Labour Party candidate for governorship for Oyo State of Nigeria. And I'm running again in 2015 by the grace of Almighty God, I'll win. Now, back to our question. No question about it, President Jonathan was well-meaning. Well, subsidy needed to be removed, but not in a haste. It has to be a very phased withdrawal. Nigeria cannot continue to live like this. We've been independent for the past 50 years and longer, and yet we are not doing very well economically. Part of it is a subsidy that a section of Nigerians are enjoying. We're talking about the cabals, and we'll describe them as we go on in this discussion. But to repeat myself, subsidy needs to go, but it cannot be a thoughtless procedure as it has happened in the last few days. It has to be a phased withdrawal where the Nigerian government will put in place adequacy of refineries so that Nigeria can more or less refine their own products. Two, mass mobilization and mass transportation. And above all, to make sure that employees and employers of labor in Nigeria give livable wages, not starvation wages that people are getting now. Nigeria lives less than $2 a day. That does not buy anything. You cannot buy 141 naira petroleum subsidy price that they have right now. Okay. So to answer your question, subsidy needs to go, but surely not right now.
Okay, so it sounds to me like you're agreeing with it.
Yeah.
You're agreeing with it, but you're saying the timing is not right.
The timing is not right, and the procedure and the process are not right.
Okay. Mr. Femi Job, what is your opinion on that?
I don't agree with it at all.
Okay, so you're on the opposing side.
I'm the opposing side.
It's getting hot in here.
Yeah, and the reasons are very simple. I can understand the argument that subsidy is not a good thing and it needs to go.
Right.
But with reference to the Nigerian people and the suffering masses, and like he said, $2 per day and the poverty levels, subsidy is important to be in place for now. And let me give an example. Even in the United States of America, there's some form of subsidy going on. They give incentives to the oil companies so that they can sell, the price can be low enough for the people to afford. Right. So even the U.S. has some kind of subsidy going on. Okay. Why not Nigeria? Okay. Now, in the U.S., the poverty level is not as Nigeria's poverty level is, and yet you now want to saddle the people in Nigeria with what I would call a starvation. It's almost like sentencing them to death. So the subsidy removal is not good at all.
Okay, so you're saying no to subsidy.
No to subsidy.
And sorry if I understand you correctly, you're saying yes to subsidy, it's just not the right time.
Yes.
When is the right time?
The right time is when Nigeria comes of age. You can be 50 years old and you still be an infant. Nigeria is still an infant in terms of economy, in terms of world economy. We are not doing very well.
Okay.
Most of the subsidy is going to, high net worth individuals in Nigeria. The mass of the population in Nigeria, they are not enjoying the subsidy. A lot of people are running to the banks with large amount of money, and the small man on the street that this gentleman wants to help, I want to help them too. That's one of the reasons why I'm in politics. Okay. But you cannot help somebody when the oligarchs are not allowing you to help them. President Jonathan was well-meaning. This attack on subsidy removal was directed against the rich and the more powerful in Nigeria. But unfortunately, it was not well thought out because it's now affecting the masses. I'm sure with a phased withdrawal, with mass mobilization, with our railway, doing very well, with our road transportation doing very well, and above all, local refineries, Nigeria can remove that subsidy very, very gradually, and they will not have a pinch. This is not the first time they are removing subsidy in Nigeria without any trouble.
Sorry to cut you off. Can you tell us when in the past?
Oh, Obasanjo did it. Yes, he raised pump price more than 3 times. Yaradua did it.
Okay.
Babangida did it. The only problem with Jonathan was this was done in the first swoop. You can't do that. This is an economy that is not doing very well. This is a nation where you have a larger number of people who are not doing very well. So if you're going to remove subsidy for somebody, it has to be this is like a national cake. Nigeria produces the oil. I'm not saying Nigeria should sell oil like on an international price, just like Ghana does. But we have to look at the situation in the world. Saudi Arabia sells oil less than 20 naira per liter. Okay. Same with Dubai. Same with UAE. So Nigeria should enjoy that, but not the oligarchs who are cornering all the money that Nigeria has right now.
Thank you very much for that. Now, I have a question for you. Can you tell me what the root cause is for the removal of fuel subsidy? And the reason I'm asking is, to the average Nigerian, removing fuel subsidy is, oh my goodness, I'm going to be spending 165 naira or 150 naira on fuel. But what is the root cause? Why has the government decided to do this?
Yeah, the problem is that, let me answer that first and foremost. Okay. President Jonathan inherited a deficit-running government. 75% of the capital outlay of Nigerian economy is being used for recurrent expenditure. Okay. We're talking about, office overhead, leaving less than 25% for capital projects. When we're talking about capital projects, we're talking about refineries, we're talking about good roads, we're talking about good airports, we're talking about education. Nigeria does not have that money. And what is more is they have what is called FAAC, Federal Allocation Committee, that meets every month. And what they have found out is that with the Federation account, about $1.3 trillion, or 3 trillion naira, 1.3 trillion is now being used for fuel subsidy, leaving Nigeria no longer any amount of money to carry out basic needs for the society. Above all, the federal government, based on what is happening right now, found out that most of this money that they are using for subsidy, they are going to the hands of oligarchs. We're talking about the cabals. And I'm going to discuss cabals. Cabals are individuals that form themselves into a group to more or less, through dwindling way and other divisive way to get money from the government rather than going through the normal process. And what they have done in league with the NNPC, they know how they can, do what they call round tripping. Buy Nigeria fuel that's refined Nigeria, take it to at last Cove Jetty, and import it back to Nigeria as imported oil, making good amount of money from that. So what Jonathan wanted to do was to make sure that it collapses that way in terms of as a means of attacking corruption head on in Nigeria. Okay. But it's not well thought out, because we just like when I told this gentleman we were discussing off camera this morning. It's like somebody who has cancer in his abdomen because he continues to say that oil subsidy is a cancer. Well, but there are some cancer you can't remove. I'm a surgeon. There are some cancer you know that it's better for you to leave them there, because if you want to remove them, the patient can die. So that is what the federal government made a mistake. And this is not a political issue. Even the ACN governors supported oil subsidy removal, because it's reducing the allocation every month. And what the federal government wanted to do to remove that so that they can have money to do other capital projects. That is why this came into being. It wasn't targeted to those who cannot afford money. I'm somebody that loves the poor people. That's why my initial campaign was under Labour Party. I was a Labour Party candidate, and I'll continue to support them. But you cannot continue to give what you don't have. Nigeria does not have money. Anybody that tells you Nigeria has money is deceiving us. And the reason why we don't have money is because of what I've said. We are using money. Nigeria is very corrupt at this moment in time. Corruption is like an albatross on our neck. As long as corruption continues, we're not going to have money to do anything. Above all, the cost of governance must be reduced. I have continued to say that the reduction of the amount of money spent on governance in Nigeria. A situation where a senator takes home about 4 million naira a month, a situation where a House of Rep member takes home about 4.3 million naira or thereabout a month, in terms of basic line analysis, and a situation where a House of Assembly members in states, especially in Oyo State where I come from, taking close to 2 million naira a month, is not good for Nigeria, where the average Nigerian spends less than $2 a day. A school start holder or a local government councillor who is earning more than a university professor in Nigeria, this is not an acceptable situation. So that is why we are having problems, and that's what President Jonathan wants to correct, together with all the 36 governors in Nigeria. Because nobody is saying now, most ACN, CPC, NPP, they all supported Jonathan on this. It is only when people started crying now that everybody ran into their kitchen. They didn't want the masses to kill them. But this is what everybody knows that we have to do. You have a cancer in your body, it has to be removed. But if it's a malignant cancer that can kill you, you have to remove it very gradually, so that both the patient and the cancer will not die together. Nigeria will not die, and I believe that we can survive this based on what I've said earlier on, that there cannot be an immediate removal of the subsidy. It should be a gradual process when Nigeria has come of age economically. I'm talking in terms of mass availability of transportation for people, our own refinery that can refine locally at home, and livable wages.